Attention seniors, if you take your car to mechanics for routine maintenance, you need to hear this. A coordinated scheme targeting older drivers is spreading through repair shops faster than anything I've seen in years. Mechanics are specifically targeting seniors because they know you're more likely to trust expert advice without question. In just one visit, they can convince you to spend thousands on repairs you don't need, and you may not realize you've been scammed until your trusted mechanic friend takes a look under the hood. I'm attorney Linda Matthews, and today I'm going to reveal the 5 most common car repairs seniors should absolutely refuse, how these scams work, why your insurance may not cover unnecessary work, and most importantly, the legal knowledge that can save you thousands. So stay with me until the end because I'll share the one question that makes dishonest mechanics back down immediately, and it costs you nothing to use. And if you're watching right now, please hit like so YouTube shows this to other seniors who need this warning and comment below. Have you ever felt pressured into car repairs you weren't sure about? I want to hear your stories. This isn't just about money, though seniors lose an average of $2,400 per year to unnecessary repairs. If these dishonest practices weren't targeting older drivers specifically, thousands of seniors wouldn't be choosing between groceries and car payments. But here's what makes this worse. Many insurance companies won't reimburse for voluntary repairs, even if they were based on false information. That means when you're scammed, you're often stuck with the bill. I've handled cases where seniors paid for transmission rebuilds that weren't needed, brake jobs on perfectly good brakes, and engine flushes that actually damaged their cars. The repair shops know exactly what they're doing. They train their staff on which customers to target and which fear tactics work best. Part 1. Why seniors are prime targets. From a mechanic's perspective, older drivers represent the perfect storm of trust, urgency, and limited technical knowledge. And unfortunately, I've seen this targeting strategy become more aggressive in just the past 2 years. It's not that seniors aren't smart. In fact, many are far more careful with their money than younger people. The real reason comes down to 3 factors that dishonest shops exploit ruthlessly. First, there's the authority factor. Mechanics wear uniforms, work in professional-looking shops, and speak with confidence about complex systems. When someone in coveralls tells you your transmission is about to fail, your natural instinct is to believe them. They're the expert, right? Wrong. Many of these shops specifically train their staff to use technical terms that sound scary but mean nothing. I've seen repair orders that mention things like critical engine carbon buildup or dangerous brake fluid contamination. These phrases are designed to create panic, not describe actual problems. Second, there's the time pressure game. Dishonest shops know that seniors often drive older cars that could realistically need repairs. They'll tell you that if you don't fix something immediately, you'll be stranded on the highway or worse, cause an accident. I had a client who was told her power steering pump was about to explode and could cause her to lose control of the car. She paid $800 for a replacement. When we had the old part inspected, it was perfectly fine. The shop used her natural concern for safety as a weapon against her. Third, there's location targeting. These scams don't happen at random shops. They're concentrated in areas where seniors go for routine services. Chain oil change places near retirement communities, tire shops in suburban areas with older populations, and even some dealership service departments during weekday mornings when younger people are at work. The scammers know their audience, and they position themselves accordingly. I've worked on cases where repair shops kept detailed notes about which customers were most likely to approve expensive work without question. They'd mark files with codes like EZ for Easy Target or QA for Quick Approval. One shop in Florida actually had a policy of offering unnecessary services only to customers over 65. They called it their Golden Goose program until we exposed them in court. Part 2. Why older adults are being targeted. The targeting isn't accidental. It's a calculated business strategy based on decades of data about how different age groups respond to sales pressure. Repair shops have figured out that seniors convert to high-dollar services at nearly 3 times the rate of younger customers, and the reasons are both heartbreaking and infuriating. There's the trust factor I mentioned, but it goes deeper than just believing authority figures. Many seniors grew up in an era when mechanics were honest neighborhood businessy, run by people you knew personally. That trust hasn't adapted to today's corporate chain shops where employees are paid commissions on services they sell. Your local mechanic in 1975 made money by keeping your car running. Today's chain shop employee makes money by convincing you that your car is about to break down. Then there's the knowledge gap. Modern cars have dozens of computer systems and sensors that didn't exist when many seniors learned to drive. When a mechanic starts talking about oxygen sensors, catalytic converter efficiency, or transmission valve bodies, it can feel overwhelming. Rather than admit they don't understand, many seniors simply defer to what sounds like expertise. The scammers know this, and they pile on the technical jargon specifically to create confusion. There's also the isolation factor. Many seniors no longer have a trusted family member or friend who knows about cars. Their husband, who used to handle all the mechanical stuff, has passed away, or their adult children live far away and are too busy to help. This leaves them vulnerable to making expensive decisions alone, under pressure, in an unfamiliar environment. Dishonest shops deliberately create situations where you feel like you have to decide immediately, without time to call someone for advice. The financial targeting is perhaps the most cruel. Scammers assume that seniors on fixed incomes will be more motivated to prevent expensive breakdowns, even if it means paying for unnecessary preventive work. They'll say things like, "You can spend $300 now on this service, or $3,000 later when your engine seizes up." It's a false choice, but when you're worried about your car being your lifeline to independence, it feels very real. Part 3. The legal gray area and why recovery is difficult. Here's where my legal background becomes crucial, because while most people assume that fraudulent car repairs can be easily disputed, the reality is far more complicated. The laws protecting consumers from automotive fraud vary wildly from state to state, and proving that a repair was unnecessary often requires expert testimony that costs more than the repair itself. The biggest challenge is defining unnecessary. Unlike credit card fraud, where you can prove you didn't make a purchase, car repair scams involve services that were actually performed. The question becomes whether those services were needed at the time they were recommended. Proving that requires an independent mechanic to examine your car and testify that the work wasn't necessary when it was done. But here's the catch. By the time you realize you've been scammed, the evidence is often gone. Your old brake pads have been thrown away. Your supposedly contaminated oil has been disposed of. The worn parts that justified the repair have disappeared. Even when you can prove the work wasn't needed, many states have laws that limit your recovery to the cost of the service, not additional damages. So if you paid $1,000 for an unnecessary transmission service, the most you might recover is that $1,000. There's no compensation for your time, stress, or the fact that the unnecessary service might have actually damaged your car. The licensing boards that regulate auto repair shops are notoriously underfunded and slow to act. I've filed complaints against shops that took 18 months to investigate and resulted in nothing more than a warning letter. Meanwhile, the shop continued operating and scamming other customers. The threat of losing their license sounds scary, but in practice, it rarely happens unless there's evidence of criminal activity. Small claims court is an option for amounts under $5,000 in most states, but it requires you to prove your case without an attorney. You'll be going up against shop owners who have been through this process many times before. They know exactly what to say to make their actions sound reasonable. They'll bring invoices, photos, and technical documentation that makes their case look professional and yours look like sour grapes from an unhappy customer. The most frustrating part is that many of these scams are perfectly legal from a technical standpoint. If a shop recommends a service that could theoretically benefit your car, even if it's not necessary, they haven't broken any laws. It's like a doctor recommending expensive vitamins that won't hurt you but won't help either. Unethical? Yes. Illegal? Often no. Part 4. The 5 repairs to always refuse. Now let's get to the meat of what you came here to learn. These 5 repairs are the bread and butter of senior targeting scams. I've seen each of them hundreds of times in my practice, and they follow predictable patterns that make them easy to spot once you know what to look for. Repair number 1. Transmission flush on high-mileage vehicles. Here's what they'll tell you. Your transmission fluid is dirty and contaminated, and if you don't flush it immediately, your transmission will fail catastrophically. They'll show you a dipstick with dark fluid and tell you it should be bright red. Here's what they won't tell you. On cars with more than 75,000 miles, a transmission flush can actually cause more problems than it solves. The dirty fluid they're showing you might be protecting worn seals and gaskets. When you flush it out with new fluid, those seals can start leaking. I've seen cars that ran perfectly fine for years after a transmission flush recommendation was ignored. The cost of this unnecessary service ranges from $200 to $500. But the cost of transmission damage it can cause ranges from $2,000 to $4,000. Repair number 2, premium air filters. This scam is so common it should be taught in schools. They'll pop your hood, pull out your air filter, and show you how dirty it is. Then they'll offer to sell you a premium high-performance filter for $60 to $100 instead of the standard $20 replacement. Here's the truth. Unless you're driving a race car, there's no meaningful difference between a $20 air filter and an $80 one. Your engine doesn't care if the filter has a fancy brand name or a carbon fiber construction. It just needs clean air. The standard filter from any auto parts store will do exactly the same job. This scam is particularly insulting because they're literally charging you 4 times more for something that provides zero additional benefit. Repair number 3, annual brake fluid flushes. The pitch usually goes like this. Your brake fluid has absorbed moisture from the air and needs to be flushed to prevent brake failure. They'll test it with a little electronic device that beeps and shows scary numbers. Then they'll recommend a $150 brake fluid flush to save your life. Here's what's really happening. Brake fluid does absorb moisture over time, but it takes years, not months, for this to become a problem. Most car manufacturers recommend brake fluid changes every 3 to 4 years, not annually. Unless you're driving in extreme conditions, racing, or towing heavy loads regularly, annual brake fluid flushes are a waste of money. The moisture content they're measuring is usually well within safe limits, but they set their test equipment to alarm at levels that sound dangerous but aren't. Repair number 4, expensive oil additives. This one makes me angry because it preys on seniors' desire to take good care of their cars. They'll recommend a special oil additive that costs $50 to $100 per bottle, claiming it will extend your engine life, improve performance, and reduce wear. The bottle has impressive scientific-sounding names and promises that sound too good to be true, because they are. Modern motor oil already contains all the additives your engine needs. Adding more won't help and might actually disrupt the carefully balanced chemistry of your oil. I've seen seniors spend hundreds of dollars on these snake oil additives that do absolutely nothing except empty their wallets. Repair number 5, immediate major repairs without second opinions. This is the big one, the scam that costs seniors the most money. You bring your car in for an oil change or tire rotation, and suddenly they're telling you that you need a new engine, transmission, or other major component immediately. They'll use phrases like catastrophic failure, imminent, or dangerous to drive. They want you to authorize thousands of dollars in work on the spot. Here's the rule that will save you thousands of dollars. Any repair that costs more than $500 deserves a second opinion from an independent shop. Real mechanical emergencies are rare. If your car drove to the shop, it can probably drive to another shop for a second opinion. Dishonest mechanics hate when you ask for time to think or want to get another opinion. Honest mechanics encourage it. Part 5, how to protect yourself right now. The good news is that once you understand these scams, they become incredibly easy to defeat. The criminals rely on your trust, your lack of technical knowledge, and your desire to avoid bigger problems later. But you can turn these weapons against them with just a few simple strategies. The most powerful protection is a single sentence that makes dishonest mechanics back down immediately. When anyone recommends a repair that costs more than $100, say this exactly. I need to discuss this with my family first. Watch what happens. Honest mechanics will say that's smart and encourage you to take your time. Dishonest mechanics will suddenly start offering discounts, creating artificial urgency, or getting frustrated. This one sentence reveals their true intentions because legitimate repairs don't require immediate decisions. Always demand written estimates before authorizing any work. Not verbal quotes, not rough estimates, but detailed written documentation of what needs to be done and what it will cost. Take this estimate home and research the services online. Look up average costs in your area and read about whether the services are actually necessary for your car's age and mileage. Most unnecessary repairs can be spotted with 15 minutes of internet research. Build a relationship with an independent mechanic, not a chain shop. Find a small, locally owned shop with good reviews from senior customers specifically. These businesses depend on repeat customers and referrals, so they can't afford to scam people. Ask friends, neighbors, and family members for recommendations. A good independent mechanic is worth their weight in gold and will often save you thousands of dollars by talking you out of unnecessary work. Keep detailed maintenance records and bring them with you to any repair shop. When you can show a mechanic exactly what work has been done recently, it becomes much harder for them to recommend duplicate services. If they suggest changing your transmission fluid and you can show them it was changed 6 months ago, they'll know you're paying attention. Consider bringing a younger family member or trusted friend when you need major work done. This isn't because you can't handle it yourself, but because scammers specifically target people who appear to be making decisions alone. Having someone else there to ask questions and take notes changes the dynamic completely. Even if your companion doesn't know anything about cars, their presence makes you a less attractive target. Learn to recognize high-pressure tactics and walk away when you encounter them. Phrases like, "You need to decide today," "This is a limited-time offer," or "I've never seen one this bad," are red flags. Legitimate car repairs don't come with sales pressure. If someone is trying to rush you into a decision, they probably don't have your best interests at heart. Finally, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, if the price seems too high, or if the mechanic seems more interested in selling than explaining, listen to that little voice in your head. Your gut instincts have served you well for decades. Don't ignore them now just because someone is wearing coveralls and speaking with authority.